back. Hope you're having a good day. Earlier today, or actually, I guess yesterday, I had bought a little tree from our bonsai nursery off the internet, and I went to go pick it up. And when I got up there, I saw they had a couple of these guys out, and you can see they've been cleaning up their inventory, and they found a couple things wrong with a couple of these trees, and put them up on a little clearance rack for the local people only. I decided to pick this guy up. Good fat bald cypress tree. I don't like to talk about how much I pay for my trees or anything like that, but this thing was really expensive before they put it on the clearance rack, but got it for a good price, I think. I think it's worth the risk. There is a wound here, big chop mark here, and then it hasn't quite closed all the way up, and there's a bunch of rotted wood in here. I'm gonna guess that might be the number one thing that that made them decide to go ahead and put it up on the rack. There is another little channel right here, basically has the same thing going on. It goes down a little bit deeper in there with some rotten wood in there. And it is, even looking at this side here, it is just a little unsightly with a big bulge here coming off of this side. I do see a nice little new leader going here. So my plan was, as I was on my way home, I was going to go ahead. I have my other two little small from like a Lowe's nursery, Bald Cypress trees. I was going to work them. You can see they finally lost all their leaves and they're getting a little bit of bud swell for this year. I'm going to chop some of the growth that mine got last year off, or the ones I already have. I guess this one's mine now. But I was just going to show this, and I was going to let this grow for the year and just, let it recover completely from, whatever reason it is they felt like they had to put it up on clearance. But then just, it is very heavy, and since I've got it inside now, I don't really want to take it in and out as much as possible. I decided I am going to go ahead and try to cut a little channel in here, not only just to make it easier to pull some of that rot out, but that'll also give it a place for the water to drain to. And then hopefully, with this new leader going up here, hopefully maybe it'll close this, finish closing its way up, and we'll keep water out of the middle of the trunk. But I definitely don't want any water in the middle of the trunk, and there's a place for it there. And then before I get started on that, I am just going to go ahead and take some of this mess out back here. You can see, you guys have probably already seen a couple of these little chop marks that they put on here as they were cleaning it up. Why? I'm going to guess maybe they left all that and then they just put it on clearance and decided whoever got it, if they wanted all these little growths in here, they could. Some of them were kind of awkward. I hate to take too much of it off because I definitely would like the tree to keep as much life as possible, but also I'd like it to put a bunch of energy up into the leaders. So maybe if I take some of the energy away down here, it wouldn't be too bad. But obviously, like I said, if it's got some issues, some rot issues, want to keep it as alive as possible. Keep in mind, I go off of what I read, what I see, and just some basic horticultural knowledge. And I just, having fun experimenting. This may or may not work out. I hope it does. It's a good amount of money to risk if it doesn't work out. But anyhow, I am going to clean it up a little bit first, and then go ahead and try to work on that wound a little bit. That thing is a big long crossing branch. And I got mixed feelings about that, but I am going to take that whole thing out there. try to leave as much as I can up top here. This super long little whip coming all the way around there though, that can't, and then this piece here, already crossing one of those. And I'll try to keep as much of that as possible. Some of these are kind of competing right now, but as quickly as these grow, I really, when you guys see my other ones that it's been just about a year since I got those other guys from Lowe's. When you guys see how much those have grown in just 1 year, you'll see what I'm talking about. But these two branches are coming off right at the same spot, and then this one's coming off of this one, and they are competing. And like I said, you know, you hate to do that, but at the same time, with some of the rot issues down here, perhaps if I let them both go, just a lot more material to go ahead and roll over here and everything, and then maybe next year I go ahead and cut one of those off. Alright, that's enough of that. I'm gonna try to see what I can do with that wound there. Alright, and here is the wound. It had an older leader, I guess, going up this way. Here they left a spot for a new one to go. So directly across from the leaders, where I'm thinking would be the best place to try to put a drainage channel in. And then the other thing, so since directly across would be right there, if I went straight down there with my saw, obviously I wanted to be wide enough to let someone, you know, not only work it a little bit, but also let the water out. So I'm gonna go ahead and kind of, you know, come on this side, you know, say 1/2 inch, 3/4 of an inch from where I want the channel to be, and on that side as well, and maybe even try to V it a little bit so that it's got a little bit of a chance to heal. From what I remember, Bonsai, and from what I've read and everything, Bald Cypress do have some fairly soft wood. I've got here, it's a Silky Boy saw, the best one I've found so far. I've gotten some other variety of like I'm sorry, not chainsaws, but keyhole saws and things like that from the hardware store. But I have found this one to be the best one yet. I'm not going to leave the camera going the entire time because this winds up being a bunch of shaking around and probably me getting very frustrated, but go ahead and show you some steps along the way. Alright, I did cut the camera off there for a second. Not only is the wood soft, but this soft spot down here in the middle goes a little bit further than I thought it would. So I'm going to make the channel a little bigger than I was originally planning on. Probably should have came over this way a little more, but since I didn't, I'm going to take it out at an angle about out to there. I was planning on kind of keeping it in this angle there. Out to about there, see how far I can get down. You can see I got down about that far there. I'm gonna go ahead and move over to here to the other side. All right, so let's see what we got here. I only got down to about there on that side and there on that side. You know, every time I do have to make cuts like this, I always think about getting myself a Sawzall. I usually prefer to buy like somewhat better tools, but I just can't justify spending that much money on something I'm probably only going to use like 10 times a year. I mean, it's kind of like, you know, I guess why some people don't even like to keep a woman around and stuff. But right around now, I sure am wishing that that maybe I did buy it, you know, decide to go ahead and buy a Sawzall, because that's a lot of work. And again, I only have those really two other small Bald Cypress, and only been in the hobby for a few years. I'm gonna just kind of test here, see how much I'm gonna be able to pull out. I can always saw off some more if I want. I can always go ahead and order a Sawzall and bring it back in and do some more work on it. I'd like to do it now in the early spring. You can see how, or at least I can feel, you guys might not be able to see, but just how much of that is all soft wood in there. But right around the edge where it's live. Definitely doesn't crumble up that easy. That's definitely good and live there. I know my camera, you know, my personal point of view is coming from way to the right of where you guys are looking at. When I was pulling some of that off right there, there's actually a lot of water coming out of there. I don't know if you guys can see it coming out of the side that you guys are looking at, but all this stuff is in there. And that right there, what I just dug out of there, definitely didn't get all the softwood out. But I got a lot of the stuff that was already loosened up. This is gonna have to come down a little bit more, coming down to some harder wood once I got beyond that little, I guess beyond probably some of the scar wood and back into some of the original wood that's actually there. Let's see what a kind of an angle I can get on that. Alright, so I'm going to have to go a little wider. You guys can see here where the trunk is, you know, an older, darker color. This whole kind of shoulder here, if you will, is just healing material there. And I can actually see where the good wood is, that it, you know, comes up like that and then goes in there like that. That's all just scar tissue. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to just break through that and pull that off there, and then that's going to give me some room where I can kind of work on this a little bit more. It's getting a little bit too tight for me to do much more anything without some kind of a power tool or an infinite amount of patience that, I mean, I have, but not that much. Alright, I'm going to see what I can do with some knob cutters here. Be a good time for a sawzall and some bigger knob cutters as well. Go ahead and peel some of that off. Get in here and pick some of the stuff out. Alright, and then moving down here lower, you can see there's some dead wood starting there, but this actually kind of has the appearance of just being an older part of the trunk already grown over. Flake a little of that off just for the time being, but you know, already grown over but not quite rotting yet or anything. So I'm going to leave that one like it is. But I do want to see, and that's even better there, I do want to see what I can do about this guy here. There's actually a little bit of, again, soft wood in there. So I wonder if I can get this to drain somehow. And there we go, that's some awfully wet wood there. And pull some of this junk out of there. Man, I thought the camera was on that entire time. I'm not sure what time it cut off there. All of that was really soft. I said you could tell when it was getting to some root. Kind of actually far away from the rest of the tree now, but I think that's all I'm going to do. I'm going to just see how that recovers. Even brought that back to some stuff that's not really quite live wood, but at least it's not rotten just now. Alright, so I've decided that's pretty much what I'm going to do with it for the day. There at the end, that root came way out here. If you really think about it, kind of not really even part of the tree anymore. It's way over here. It's funny, most of the dead on the inside of the trunk though was on the other side. But broke a good bit of it off. Kind of odd how it feels like it goes down to the rest of the roots. But we'll see, we'll hope it works out all right. And then I cut that all out. Got a couple grooves there. They'll heal up in no time, but hope that maybe that'll at least help drain some of the moisture just in the time being. And then if I am able to get it to go ahead and get a good head of steam, let it get all the energy into the leader there. Probably be the last video on it. I do, for about a year, heavy as can be, and since I'm just going to let it regain health, I probably won't trim it at all for the summer. Just let her go ahead and steamroll ahead. Maybe cut off a couple errant branches here and there if I get a couple that are in just some really bad spots, but more or less, probably leaving it alone.